Welcome to the American Academy of Grief Counseling's video on crisis counseling and sexual assault. And this video is meant for not only those in psychoeducation and learning about those who are sexually assaulted through crisis and how crisis intervention plays a key role and grief counseling plays a key role long term, but it is also meant for just the casual observer, maybe someone who has been sexually assaulted and they don't know what to do. This video hopes to give some guidance and some clarity regarding this heinous action against the individual's self-being. Now, sexual assault is a broad term. It's a term that can include rape, but any type of sexual activity that is not just including women, but also it can happen to men as well as children. And all sexual abuse or rape involves any type of deliberate violation of another that incurs invasion of the body by force without consent. And it doesn't necessarily have to be sexual intercourse. It can be as simple as a sexual touch that was uninvited in itself. So it does have a broad range, and within that range, it can have various damages to the individual cognitively and effectively, depending on the range of the action and also the other person's subjective nature. Sexual rape or abuse can be committed by a complete stranger or a partner, a friend, or a family member, and in many cases, it's someone you know. It can occur through force, drugging, coercive means, or it can be somewhat not as violent with physical resistance or none at all. It all comes down more so to the person's power and how that power is displayed over a non-willing person, at least cognitively. Myths that rape is merely rough sex need to be dismissed, or that rape is always a cry to avenge a man, or that rape is motivated by lust. Other myths are that rapists usually are loners and not everyday people, or that survivors provoke the rapist, or that only bad women are raped in bad sides of town. And these myths need to be completely washed ashore. Other fallacies include that men who are raped are willing victims. So when men are victims of rape, which is very rare, but it can occur and does occur, that because of strength, biological strength and physical strength, that a man is always willing. And simply because a sexual function occurs, that sense that the pleasure that was associated with that function incurs approval of the sexual abuse. That does not correlate. That is simply not true. Many individuals can still be raped and still experience the physical pleasure of the incident and still very much be traumatically damaged and hurt by that thing. Another myth is that only homosexuals are the perpetrators of abuse upon boys, which is a very dangerous myth, one that I hope has been pushed to the side, because pedophiles and homosexuality are two different types of attraction, while one is completely predatory in itself and the other is not. Other fallacies include that once an individual is a victim of sexual assault, that they're going to perpetrate it. And that's not always the case in itself. With that said, let's take a look at the nature of the perpetrator of sexual assault, which we refer to as the rapist or the molester. While anyone can be a victim of rape, most rapists statistically are males, and we're not here to disenfranchise anyone else who might have been taken advantage of by a woman. But for the most part, high percentage part, males are perpetrators of sexual assault and rape just due to the physical power that one has from being a male over a female. Now, this perpetrator can be a stranger, friend, or family member, and in many cases, it's usually someone that is known. Many rapists or sexual assault perpetrators feel that they are mistreated in society, they're anxious and feel threatened, and they take it out on women. They have a problem with women because of it. They see women as inferior or submissive, and they feel need to display power over them. And that's one of the key things of sexual assault. It is a exploitation of someone who is not as powerful. It is a glorification of one's own control and power over another human being. And sex is just merely the means within it. Many rapists display poor interpersonal skills and they show very sadistic patterns in behavior. Most commit due to four categories. Some rapists look to commit due to raw anger that is unable to be channeled properly. The second, commit due to power exploitation over another human being. The third, commit for their own power reassurances that they need. And the fourth, commit due to maybe sadistic needs that are within their own personality disorders that exist within them due to maybe sociopathy or other types. In regards to children, which is very heinous and disgusting to the palate, molesters will utilize grooming techniques to find victims and then entice with rewards, only later to entrap the child with manipulation to continue within the relationship. And usually that involves degradation of the child, blaming the child, threatening the child, blackmailing them to secrecy. Blaming, shaming, and disenfranchising the voice of the young person, making them feel not heard or important, are key to any type of predation in itself. So the effects of sexual assault on individuals obviously produces a very intense type of trauma. There are short-term and long-term effects, but they are all not just physical, but emotional, mental, and as well spiritual. Obviously, physically, the first 2 weeks is filled with the physical injuries that might have occurred with the sexual assault, as well as acute mental trauma, hypervigilance, flashbacks, nightmares, and dissociation can occur for the individual. Some may be shocked and quiet, others very angry, others may feel guilt and shame, while others may fall into a deep depression. Spiritually, individuals can feel dirty as if they sinned when they didn't. And that sometimes can happen if pleasure was experienced during the rape. Again, which is not consent. Others can feel stigmatized because of being a victim of sexual abuse. It can be embarrassing. They can feel devalued, and they can have an impaired self-image of self. Long-term, many develop PTSD, severe depression, and also exhibit suicidal ideation. And that's whether if it's as a child and it later reemerges or for also adults. So how can behavioral health professionals help others? Well, there's acute and also long-term care. Obviously, if you're dealing with someone in immediate crisis from the event, helping a person find equilibrium, emotional, effective balance, and also ability to cope what occurred. So it's about stabilizing the individual at that point, giving them balance and coping to look at what just happened as it's overfilled their emotional system. It's important to address the raw emotions of the event. Also, may be immediately needed to help the individual ground through breathing, deep breathing techniques, as well as calming tools. And also helping the individual feel secure and safe in that moment, because obviously their safety has been taken away from them. Also, it's important in the immediate steps to ensure that the person has support via family, friends, or support groups, and to help that individual find this. Now, longer term problems, we need to look for signs of PTSD, depression, and suicidal ideation. Types of counseling techniques for this type of abuse include cognitive therapy, such as CBT, meaning reconstruction, making sense out of this horrible event in their life, as well as exposure therapies, with EDMR as one resource to help individuals go back, reprocess, rewire what occurred neurally to help properly file the horrific event to try to deal with potential PTSD. So those are ways that counselors can help those who went through this horrific event in the immediate acute stages as well as the later. AIHCP offers a crisis intervention specialist program as well as a grief counseling certification program. Our phone number is 330-652-7776 and our email is info@aihcp.org. Again, our text for this was the Gillian text, Crisis Intervention Strategies, and its chapter on sexual assault. So again, if you've been a victim, please come forward to the appropriate authorities and find help. If you know of someone who's been affected, definitely call for them. And if you are a counselor or a licensed professional in healthcare or behavioral health, by law, it must be reported. I'd like to thank you for listening and have a good day.